Hi, my name is Shauna Ahern. I'm also known as the Gluten-Free Girl. This is my husband Danny, the chef, and our daughter Lucy. All across this country are food heroes, people who are giving their life and all of their labor and work in order to make great food for us.
Go! Come on, honey, come on!
Ha-ha! This is a chance for all of us to explore and understand and celebrate the food that grows right where you live. Welcome to the Food Source with Shauna and the chef. I've always been in love with food. Every bit of food is delicious, and when you start thinking of it that way, celery with walnut butter is just as delicious as a chocolate cream pie. In the spring of 2005, I was really sick, and every time I ate, I felt horrible. And I love food. I've always loved food. And it got to the point where I just wasn't even interested in food. I was revulsed by it. Every doctor I went to said, well, it's kidney failure. Oops, I guess it's not. I don't know, next. And I started to despair. Who the heck was I, and would I ever be well? When I finally was diagnosed with celiac, I was so happy to finally have an answer. Those of us who have celiac, our body reads gluten as a toxin. Gluten is the elastic protein that is in wheat, rye, barley, but wheat in particular is in almost everything in this culture. But finally being diagnosed was one of the best things that had ever happened to me, because I could finally feel well for the first time in my life. I threw myself into the kitchen and I started going to farmers markets and I started playing with new recipes and buying new ingredients. Part of the reason is that when you have celiac, the only cure is to eat really great food. And to me, it became immediately apparent I needed to say yes. Say yes to my body, say yes to my health, say yes to all the foods that are naturally gluten-free. I had the word yes tattooed on me in February of 2006. I had been gluten-free for almost a year, and I was a self I had never known before. This is also the energy that fueled starting my website. To me, writing was the means through which I could connect with the world. I write daily on Twitter. Who knew that even existed, a few years ago, and have more than 60,000 followers, which constantly surprises me. Whether it was telling my own stories or telling other people's stories, I wanted to share. I started talking about the food I was discovering at farmers markets. I found amaranth greens. Who'd ever eaten those before? And it turned out they were delicious when you sauteed them with a little olive oil and salt and pepper.
Shut the front door!
I had been off dating for a while, just done. And then, I had yes tattooed on my wrists, and I thought, well, I'm saying yes to everything in my life except for this. Maybe I should try. I put an ad up on Match.com, which was the last way I imagined I would ever meet the love of my life.
Hi.
Hi. Part of what drew me to Danny is the fact that he was a chef.
Actually, the thing that really got me was she said, come over to my house and I'll make you lemon roasted chicken with mashed potatoes. What guy's going to turn that down?
It's true. He read my website, and one of the things that I noticed first is that he didn't bombard me with a lot of questions like, what is gluten and what can't you eat, and I make this, does that mean I can't feed you this? Instead, he just said, I love your website, I love how much you love food, and I thought, who's this guy?
We came to Vashon, how long were we dating? 6 weeks?
6, 7 weeks, I think.
Yeah, because I had already asked you to marry me.
It's true. Yeah. Danny and I both feel really lucky to live here on Vashon Island. It's a 15-minute ferry ride from Seattle.
It just felt like home.
Vashon's a really special place. It's a bunch of characters who live here. It is the same length as Manhattan and 2 miles wider, but there are only 10,000 of us here. And it's a small town at its best. There's not even one stoplight in the whole length of the island. For us, this is a place of slowness and a place of beauty, a place of connection. We have a daughter who can go walking out in the forest 5 minutes from our home. There are so many farms and people growing food, and you can go out on the beach and get a gooey duck in low tide. It's just how you live. Once you start realizing that every time you eat, you are feeding yourself, you start really paying attention to the food you're eating. It's easy to eat TV dinners. It's easy to eat things that are in a package. The more that I started to peer at food labels, it had 15 ingredients I couldn't pronounce. I didn't know where that food came from. So I started going to farmers markets. I started cooking with whole natural foods. I started going and talking to the fishermen that caught the salmon.
Oysters!
It's oyster time! When I found food at its source, I found not only the most delicious food I've ever eaten, but I also found that the people who make that food are fabulous. They work hard, They put such incredible labor, and you can taste all of that in the food that you eat. Danny and I can't wait to go out across this country and experience foods we've never eaten before.